You ever feel like life is just happening to you? You're stuck in this cycle of exhaustion, tapping at people that you love, or something just feels off? This video is for you. Today, I want to talk about burnout, how burnout is real, can be scary, how we can shift the mindset of treating burnout not as a monster that's taking over our life, but something that can actually be our friend, and how we can up level and change our life for the best. I have my little tea here, my cute little mug. My name is Gabby. I work as an ICU nurse, but I also have a passion for talking about the emotions that we feel in our early 20s and how we navigate through life, especially when you're in a difficult career like nursing. So working as a nurse has a big influence on why I think it's so important to talk about burnout. According to the National Library of Medicine, nearly 4 out of 10 nurses in the US experience burnout. According to the 2022 Mental Health and Wellness Survey, 40% of nurses reported symptoms of depression, anxiety, and PTSD during the pandemic. And in 2022, the nursing survey by McKinsey & Company reported that 1 in 4 nurses have considered leaving the profession behind due to burnout. I want to talk about my own experience, but also how burnout can happen to anyone. I think the hardest thing about burnout is that we sometimes think burnout happens to other people, and especially if you're someone like me and people I surround myself with, you're hardworking, you're smart, you have goals in life, you're very ambitious, you think that burnout doesn't happen to you. But the thing is, with burnout, it doesn't care. You could be the most disciplined nurse on the unit, you could be the most hardworking person in your class, but if you find yourself constantly pouring all your energy and your value into the world without giving yourself time to pour back into yourself, this is where it can get you. And we're all just humans, so it's okay. I think the hardest part about getting through burnout is first recognizing it and actually knowing that you're in this state that you don't want to be in. And that can be hard. I just want to talk about like the common burnout symptoms per WebMD. And if you find yourself resonating like, oh wait, that's me, that's actually a good sign. Now we can name it and we can make the steps towards recovery and what we can do to better our life. So common burnout symptoms: chronic fatigue, frustration or irritability, emotional outbursts, detachment from work or personal life. I've always heard the word being thrown here and there, but it's not until you actually experience it that it becomes real. You realize how challenging it can be to come out of it. So it happened, I want to say around a year-ish after I started working as a nurse. I landed like my dream job. It's something that I've always wanted to do, to work in the ICU. And basically I felt like I was on the top of the world when I got the job. A year into nursing, I fell into this like mental state. One, there were some personal issues happening in my life, but another was it just something did feel off. Like I just couldn't put my finger on it. And I just felt like the most ungrateful person in the world. Like, girl, you prayed, cried, sweated tears to be able to be here, and then you're feeling like this. It's kind of like I felt like I was like giving a little loser. I was skipping skincare because I was too tired after a night shift. So I was like breaking out a little bit, or just I was not feeling like physically the most attractive. I was also too tired to really do anything. Since I worked so hard at work, I would just go home and rot in bed all day, and that would be like my rest. If I wanted to feel something, I would go to like retail therapy as a way to, I don't know, feel some sort of quick dopamine fix. And I thought that would make me feel better, but actually didn't. And then I stopped using any like calendar app. I honestly didn't even know what day it was. If you're a nurse, you know that's real. Like I don't even know, actually don't even know what day it is today, but it was really bad a year ago. I would just like kind of let life take me wherever it wanted me to take. And my main focus was just to like go to work and be the best nurse I could be. But because I was so kind of empty and felt a little empty and sad all the time, like it felt even more difficult to do that at work. I think it got really bad when I noticed that I would get into these like emotional outbursts on people that I loved. And it's not something that I don't want to say anything that I'm going to hurt someone. And that's when I was like, oh shoot, am I like burnt out? And as like the oldest sister in like a first generation immigrant family, like you think in your head, girl, like stop complaining. You have all this to be grateful for. And it was just like the harder I work, the more value I would put on myself. But in this sense, like I can't even work harder because I'm like actually like depleted in all of the energy I felt. So it felt a cycle I couldn't escape from. And I think that when it started to affect how I treated other people, that's when I was like, okay, this is not it. And that's when it hit me that surviving is not the same as living. If you're listening to that and some of that is like, oh wait, I've been doing that, you're better than me, because I think I was so against calling it burnout, that I did not realize the value in knowing what I was going through so I can know what I'm going to do next. And if you're feeling like that, I hope my experience can help you get through it faster and recognize it so that you can get through it too. So when I say burnout should be your friend and not your worst enemy, it's kind of like when your friend cries in front of you, do you just be like, okay, stop crying, like just keep doing what you're doing and you'll be fine? Like, I feel like that would be the worst kind of friend I would want to hear. If you're going through burnout and we treat them like a friend, what would we do to a friend if they're in a moment of this crisis? And for me, I would always stay curious and I'm there to listen. I'm there to ask them, so what are you going through? What events happened before this that caused you to feel like this? And you don't judge them. You don't say anything is their fault. You just listen to them. You ask questions. You try to understand what led to this moment of this grief or this kind of sadness that they're feeling. I really hope that we can all learn to treat ourselves with the same grace that we would treat a friend or a loved one. So you have to ask yourself, what is this burnout showing me? And what needs to change. So when I had this mindset shift of life right now feels a bit hopeless, it feels a bit sad, like uninspiring. As crazy as it sounds, those feelings are good in a sense. If these feelings exist, this proves that the opposite can also be true for myself. I can be happy, I can feel fulfilled, I can feel like there's something motivating me and I can get out of this state of burnout. And that's why I think reflection, journaling your thoughts, just getting all the emotions and what you're feeling out of your system is the best way to figure out the next steps, because you have to think reflectively to be able to change the course of action that comes after like this like emotional state where you're not able to think cohesively and think logically. So when I recognized that I was burnt out, I wrote down all my experiences, all the feelings that I had. What are the feelings that I actually want to feel? And again, it's the same thing. I wanted to feel motivated. I wanted to be my best self, and also just wanted to feel good about who I am and what I'm working towards. And you have to ask yourself, like, kind of, when was the last time I really felt like happy? For me, that was having structure. And I was thinking, even like in school, realizing that transition period of being a student versus now being a nurse, I would think in my head, with a job, I should be happier. But I was like, I kind of felt more happy in school. I don't know. And I don't think it was like studying or the constant taking exams or anything that was making me happy. What I found that did make me happy was having structure. I had a routine. I was always surrounded by my friends since I was in school. And also I was working towards a goal. Those things made me happy. And now that I was kind of just in this limbo of going to work, clocking in, clocking out, always plus the fatigue of being a nurse, I didn't have that structure where I was able to be more reflective and be more intentional with my days. And that's what actually gave me joy. And it really hit me. Like, I was like, I'm not doing a lot of things that used to make me happy, and that needs to change. So now that you have that reflection of like what used to make you happy, and it doesn't even make you necessarily happy, like you're euphoric happy, just a place in time where you felt a bit more in control of your life. So second, find that disconnect. So first you have what you say you want to do versus what are you actually doing. And for me, that was a hard truth. I said I wanted to be healthy. I said I wanted to be happy, loving, and all these great things. But what I was actually doing was waking up at random times, not having a set routine of working out, eating healthy. I didn't really prioritize my meeting up with my friends anymore. I kind of was just like, I'll just rest at home, do whatever. So if you say you want to be healthier, but then you haven't moved or went to the gym in a month, that's where the disconnect, and that can be where you be real with yourself and be like, okay, I need to start being intentional with what I want to do in life. And the last thing, once you have that disconnect, is accept that you're not going to feel like doing what you need to do. Comfort will always feel safer than change, and that's even when change is what you need. So if you're able to get through that period of not wanting to do something, having so much pushback, and getting in your head about actually doing things, just doing the thing is better than not trying at all, just to stay stuck in the same bad habits that you find comfortable now. So with burnout, the ultimate goal is to choose coming back to yourself. You can bounce back, and actually you can rise even higher than before because you have all this information now. You have all the tools and the insight that you didn't have before you had this burnout. It starts with recognizing the burnout, forgiving yourself, giving yourself grace, and choosing just one tiny action a day. Even if it's something as small as making yourself tea and having a journal session in the morning, or calling up a friend that really means a lot to you, but you haven't been able to make time for. And all these little things will add up to something beautiful because you're gonna start to feel more like the person you wanna be. So make burnout your friend. Let it show you what's not working in your life and let it redirect you to the life you actually want to live. So if you're a nurse, a student, or anyone just trying to get through life and trying to get the most out of it, just know we're not meant to do this alone. So if you've been through it, just comment below. I love trying to hear other people's stories. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Bye-bye.